Hello and welcome to the ThinkingCap Solutions podcast. My name is Corey Kay. Opposite me, looking sleek in black, Mickey Maher.
That's me.
And today, whether we like it or not, we've all got one. You can stuff it up. It also can do wonderful things, and that's your personal brand, Mickey.
Yeah, some think it's a bit of a buzzword, but you know what? Your personal brand's actually been there forever. It's basically your reputation.
Who the heck you are.
Your values, your beliefs, those kind of things, right?
I think you can take an opportunity that not everyone's taking because there's a fear factor, because it is putting yourself out there when you're a personal brand, right?
Yeah, and so while we say that everyone's got one, the focus, I guess, of today is for those that are in the world of business or wanting to grow their brand with an audience. We want to sort of talk about, what is it and why it's important, and then we want to talk about how we can help you.
Yep. And we spent, majority of our careers shaping and molding and working with personalities and talent on that personal brand. And we'll go through, Mickey, the work that we do, which is what we do at ThinkingCap Solutions, the process to actually uncover someone's personal brand. Because as we've established, it's finding who you are and finding the right lane for you to play in, depending on what your service is or what your product is. A really good way that you talk about it, Mickey, is how do you want people talking about you? Because that's your personal brand.
And that's where our experience as leaders and coaches in the field of working with talent is really helpful, because we can give you that objective, outside looking in perspective of who you are, and we know how to get that substance from you, because our job is not to give you the talent because you've got the talent. Our job is to extract it from you.
And make sure that you don't pigeonhole yourself. I mean, you had, there was an example when you were working at a radio station, female talent, who was absolutely boxed into this, talk about your kids, talk about this, that and the other, and she loved sport. She loved footy, loved V8s, and then you came in and totally, unpicked all of that and allowed her to talk to her passion.
Yeah, they said I was basically told I can't talk about footy and supercars, and I love that. And I was like, well, that changes right now, because if that's a part of who you are, then that's the audience needs to hear about that. And so when we're working with clients, it's a very similar process. So what is it about you, and how can we showcase that and not squash it? It's how do we amplify it?
And for us working with anyone, personal brand's really important when you are trying to identify an audience and then come up with a content strategy. That personal brand, who you are, and identifying how we can connect that from a content point of view and an audience point of view, who you're trying to attract, is a critical piece. So let's go into the process, Mickey, of a discovery session at ThinkingCap Solutions. Where does it start?
So initially we'll try and do our own homework to identify as much information about who we're working with. So in radio world, we have the fortunate ability to hear the person either in a demo situation or out of the speakers if they're already on the radio, to get a sense for how they're projecting themselves. Yep. In the ThinkingCap Solutions world, working with clients, we don't necessarily have that luxury unless they already have their own podcast.
Sometimes they've got a social media account. You can start to get a bit of an idea around that.
So we can do that. But we'll normally provide a bit of a baseline questionnaire to tell us a bit about you, so we can start to get a little bit of an insight. What's really important is that we don't start to have an opinion per se, because in the early phases of discovery, we want to be open-minded, because more often than not, there's stuff below the surface that we need to get to. So part of our process and some of the questioning that we use, and in fact we used it in our media careers as well, is things like, okay, how would your best friends describe you? What is your worst trait? Things like that helps us start to form a little bit of a picture of who you are.
They've got the questions which they've sent through, which gives you a bit of an idea of who they are a little bit. Where do you go from here?
I guess it's about building a connection, allow them to feel comfortable with us and asking the kind of questions that we're probing them with, because it's not about us trying to tell them who they are. It's about us trying to extract that so we can help have a better understanding and hopefully help them maybe have a better understanding of who they are and who their personal brand is. So we want to know who they are, what makes them uniquely them, what's their interests, what's their needs, what's their fears, those kind of things.
And it can go really deep. Some go deeper than others. And I've had times where the question of when's the last time you cried, thinking it could be a rom-com, which might give me some kind of insight, and then uncovering something about their mum who passed away. And when you start to head into that rich vein of sharing, that can really set the tone and the feel for who this person really is. Now, you don't get to that place, I think, with everyone every time.
And definitely not within the first 2 minutes. And that's what we talk about.
Although if someone does, and I've had that before, that tells me something about them straight away.
Yeah.
Okay, you are an open book.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't need to go to the depths, depending on what they're trying to achieve. I think part of what we try and do, Mickey, is give them the confidence to do that public-facing personal brand And it can be a scary place to share. And we've worked with that many talent where they've shared personal stories that they probably wouldn't tell majority of people, but then to tell an entire audience, and knowing that the higher purpose of what that might do for the audience by sharing it.
Yeah, vulnerability is such a powerful thing, but it's also can be a very scary thing as well. So our job as the coaches is, again, to reassure, give that support, give that confidence around those stories, those qualities, those traits, those fears and uncertainty, to know that it's okay to put it out there and you're not alone, and that this is the right thing to do.
All right, so discovery session done. What then happens when you walk out of that room? What's the process that you go through?
Well, the benefit we have as you know, the coach, is that we can be objective to things. So we can take that information and we can start to put it in shape of identifying where we see the role. And again, this is not about us telling someone who they are. They've told us the information. All we're doing is going from our 30 years of experience and knowing what engages audiences and understanding what it is that they want to achieve. So they might want to be host of a podcast, or they might want to be in front of the camera, or they want to be the front face of their business. Knowing what that is, here's parts of their personality that are really going to work to their advantage. So we start to create and form a picture here of what their role is, knowing that. And then we sit down with them and go, okay, based on everything you've told us, here's how we kind of see it. And then we want to get to a mutual agreement to go, yep, do you believe that that's true to who you are and you feel that's comfortable with who you are? The last thing we want to do is force someone into thinking that they need to be someone that they're not. We're simply the facilitator and using years of experience to get the full picture. Then it's about performance, because that can be confronting.
And a lot of people that we work with don't have that confidence. And I think having that discovery session, then working a roadmap that you can work to, that you've actually bought into and signed off on, gives you that confidence to know exactly where you need to play and want to play, and confident playing.
The confidence will come by knowing how to do it and what to do. The what to do is the content. And again, if it's something that you're passionate about, and that's why you're doing this in the first place, then clearly you're going to be talking about stuff that you know. So the confidence should be there. So sometimes it's just dealing with the demons in your mind or your head that's sort of telling you there's this unnecessary fear there. When the reality is, if you strip them out for a minute, I'm talking about stuff I know. Then there's the stuff that may not come naturally to you. If it's being in front of camera, it's around, how to stand and those kind of things. If it's hosting a podcast, it's mic technique, it's those kind of things. If it's in a leadership role and leading a team, it's around how you present yourself to a team and showcase that.
Yep. And I think it's about doing the work prior to actually going public facing. I remember working with a broadcaster who wanted to commentate football. And I would literally sit with them for an hour while they commentated replays of games. And then we would review and we'd listen to it. And we only went to market when we were comfortable and confident with what we were delivering behind the scenes. Whether, if you're a real estate agent and it's about getting in front of the camera, we will work with you. Like we're your working buddy. We want to see the warts and all, and we can assist you and get you match fit and get you ready.
And that's the same for hosting a podcast. We would not recommend that you do one of these sessions and go and record your first podcast, and that first one, you just go and publish it, and it's out there in the world. I mean, what we would encourage is just get yourself out there, yes, but within meaning and with some kind of form of development and coaching first. So we would do a couple of what we call demos with you first, iron out some of the nuances that don't need to be there, and then we get yourself close as right to ready. So when you go out there, you're putting the best product.
Yep. Let's crawl, let's walk, let's run, let's sprint. And that could be just doing one piece of content a week to start with, just to get some miles in the legs and then starting to work it up. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. And again, you start building that confidence.
Because there's a couple of reasons why people don't. One, they don't know the value of their personal brand. And again, that's where we can help. Sometimes the other one is that imposter syndrome, that fear of, it might be just the fear of the microphone. Sometimes it might be the fear of, I can see my competitors and they are so much better than me. Well, you know what? It's not about who's better. It's about who's unique.
Who's unique. And doing it, you're exactly right. Doing it your way and feeling comfortable. And don't worry about judgment. You are going to be your biggest critic. Now, as long as you're not beating yourself to a pulp, that's okay. But no one really cares that much. And I think once you get over that, that goes a long way to actually putting your personal brand out there and having a go. That fear factor, it's real for everyone. I avoided public speaking for 10 years. I got over that, but I wish I had have just jumped in and done it. But you only know what you know, right?
Yeah.
So jump in, have a go. All people are going to see is someone having a crack and improving as they go.
If you're interesting, unique, got a story to tell, that's what matters most.
And everybody has it. And Mickey, if we're talking to anyone who's in a category who's going up against big business, putting a face to your brand or putting a voice to your brand gives you a connection. I mean, I just had coffee with a bloke who sells wine, and we're talking about Black Friday sales and how he did it for the first time and saw some easy wins there. But then we started discussing around margins. And his margins are really tight in the wine business, but his opposition, who are Coles and Woolies and all those big operators, they can decrease their margins because they're doing it en masse.
And he can't compete with that.
He can't do that. So it's around, well, no. They're buying you. If they're connected to you and you're the authority on wine, he's got a great personality. He's got such a good personality and he's got really interesting stories. If he puts himself out there, he now can do what the big brands can't. They can buy all the celebrities they want, but if it's a real person who's got this business that sells wine and they can tell you stories about the wine, why they picked the wine, his Instagram's amazing. And if he transfers that to making himself the face of the brand and connecting it with the personality that I know he has, to me, that builds loyalty, right? Because he can't move the margins. He can't compete with Dan Murphy's and all of these other operators who can just slash the prices. So his biggest weapon is
his own
himself.
personal brand.
So we talked you through personal brand, clearly the benefits and the power of having it. And if you aren't utilizing it, you are wasting your biggest asset. And if you need help and some guidance, we are here to do that for you. We've just gone through our process, the discovery session, where we'll really go beneath the surface and find out exactly what your personal brand is and what your lane is. Identify that role, that ongoing coaching performance. And that's around the content that you are delivering and how you execute that content as well.
Get in contact, thinkingcapsolutions.com.au. Love to hear from you. Or ThinkingCap Solutions, all one word, on LinkedIn.
Good stuff.